Welcome to part two of this video tutorial. In part one, we ran a fluid flow simulation that you can see on your screen using the Explore mode of Ansys Discovery, which utilizes our GPU solver. In part two, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use the Ansys Fluent solver running on your CPU. So to do that, click here to switch to Refine mode. Now you'll notice that everything stays the same. All the settings from part one in Explore mode are preserved, and the only change is that the Ansys Fluent solver has been loaded under the hood. Okay. Now it's your choice to continue at this point and just run the simulation by clicking the green solve button. But some of you might actually want to set the whole thing up from scratch in refine mode. And I want to use most of part two of this tutorial to show you how to do that. Okay, so it's really your choice, but let's set this up from scratch. To do that, I have a fresh session of Ansys Discovery. I've imported the same CAD model using the steps that I described in part one. Okay, now let's switch to refine mode once again by clicking down here. In this case, I don't have any settings because I'm setting this up from scratch. So let's go ahead and do that. The user experience is identical. So I'm going to click here and here to expose the halo, and then here to expose the HUD for fluid flow conditions. Let's apply a mass flow rate of 0.01 kg per second, just like we did in part one. And let's do the same for these other three inlets. The beauty of Ansys Discovery is that the user experience is the same regardless of what physics or solver you're using under the hood. Okay, so I've applied these conditions for 4 inlets and the 1 outlet. Let's double click here and choose air as the material property. And that's pretty much it. So now we're ready to solve. But in refine mode, like I said, we have access to a few additional controls, which gives us greater accuracy and more fidelity. Okay, so I want to show you where you can access this. First of all, you can click here to access additional simulation options like different convergence methods, convergence settings, turbulence models, and so on. We'll use all the defaults here, but I just wanted to show you where these are available. Okay, we are going to be using a traditional mesh based approach. So by default the mesh is done automatically, but in some cases you might want to apply a local mesh control. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's click local and then triple click here to select that fluid body, and then let's use a value of 5 mm and hit enter. Automatically converts the units to meters, as you can see on the right side in the physics tree. Okay, so we've applied a local mesh control. The last thing I want to do is maybe create a monitor for one of these inlets. Okay, so I'm going to click inlet number 1 and then click here to specify a static pressure monitor. I'm going to use average static pressure on that face. Click that check mark. Okay, hit escape 2 times to dismiss that heads up display. Now here I can click on details to turn on this chart, and this chart will allow me to monitor the progress of that particular solution variable that I'm interested in. Okay, you'll also see it shows up in the list of monitors in addition to the 2 default monitors that Discovery populates. Okay, so really that's pretty much it. To solve, click the green solve button. Now in refine mode, we're using Ansys Fluent on the CPU. And this is slower than Explore mode running on the GPU. But what you lose in speed, you gain in terms of additional accuracy, additional fidelity, and additional inputs and controls. Okay. Now, one thing you're going to be able to do is once that green progress bar that you see on the SID goes halfway around, you're going to be able to display the mesh. Okay. Now, to see the mesh better, we might want to make that solid body transparent, or let's just hide it in this case, right? I showed you how to make it transparent in part one. So I'll show you how to hide it in part 2. Okay. So to hide it, select any face on the solid body, right click and click hide. Or you can go to the geometry tree and then click on this icon to hide it. Okay. Now, while I'm doing that, you'll notice that the SID has a green progress bar halfway around, which means the mesh has been generated. And to view the mesh, you can simply click here. Okay. You can see a very nice mesh with boundary layers and automatic refinement in areas of curvature and so on that has been created by Discovery. Okay. Now, in about a minute or so, you'll see the solution starting, and you'll see that chart for average static pressure on inlet number 1 starting to update. Okay, and you'll be able to monitor the progression of that particular variable of interest. So, depending on your computer, this might take 1 or 2 minutes. In my case, this has already started, as you can see on your screen. And this shows you a chart indicating the solution progression as a function of the number of iterations that the Fluent solver is running. Okay, which is a traditional way to monitor solution using the Ansys Fluent solver. So Ansys Discovery will automatically stop the solution when all the variables are converged. This is a great time for you to go grab that cup of coffee and come back in about a minute or so. Okay, you can see the green progress bar in the SID has gone all the way around, which means that the solution is converged, and you can see the chart indeed proves that this is the case. That particular value we're monitoring, static pressure on inlet 1, has flatlined, and in a few seconds you see the results. Okay, so post-processing controls are identical to Explore mode. So by default, you can see streamlines. It has a lot of the same submenus, so we can make this thicker, for example, or you can turn that off, and let's turn the mesh off so we can see the results better. Click here to turn on contours. This is contours of velocity. Let's change this to static pressure. Let's change the rendering type from highest value to outer. Just all the same controls that you remember from part 1, right? So the user experience is identical. For example, you have some additional options. So you can, for example, plot the mesh on top of the contour of pressure on the walls of this particular device, and so on and so forth. So let's just change this back to velocity. Let's turn off contours and let's turn on velocity vectors. And as you can see, the user experience is identical regardless of which stage or mode you use in Ansys Discovery. So there you have it, a quick tutorial on using refine mode to run a fluid flow simulation on this manifold. And it's your choice whether to run this simulation in explore mode first and then switch to refine, or go directly into refine and be able to use the Ansys Fluent solver under the hood. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of this tutorial, and I encourage you to watch all the other tutorials on Ansys Discovery. Thank you very much.